producing a documentary based upon Freud's interpretation of dreams. Upon reading that, I realized that Freud was onto something insofar as what gives us our ideas about creativity and how we implement them. So I decided to expand upon the very basic premise of dreams associated with the muse and other things that might affect us. Things that you might not be aware of. Things that are around us all the time that you might not take notice of, but somehow they have a bearing on how we act, how we live, or how we create. Some might choose to call these things paranormal. The Oxford English Dictionary defines the older broad meanings of the term artist as a learned person or master of arts, one who pursues a practical science. Traditionally, that would be medicine, astrology, alchemy, or chemistry. A follower of a pursuit in which skill comes by study or practice, which would be the opposite of a theorist. A follower of a manual art, such as a mechanic, one who makes their craft a fine art, or one who cultivates one of the fine arts. Traditionally, that would be the arts presided over by the muses. What is a muse? Ordinarily, it is defined as a source for inspiration or creativity. But can the muse be something else? This is the source of my project, Haunted Artists, and the reason for asking for accounts, stories, and experiences from all realms of creative people. Be a part of art history. Artist is a descriptive term applied to a person who engages in an activity deemed to be an art. An artist also may be defined unofficially as a person who expresses themselves through a medium. The word is also used in a qualitative sense of a person creative in, innovative in, or adept at an artistic practice. Most often, the term describes those who create within a context of the fine arts or high culture, activities such as drawing, painting, sculpture, acting, dancing, writing, filmmaking, photography, and music. People who use imagination, talent, or skill to create works that may be judged to have an aesthetic value. Sigmund Freud is often associated with the emergence of the Surrealist painters due to his study and authoring of The Interpretation of Dreams. One of Freud's main themes was the amount of activity that goes on in our minds without our knowledge. This resulted in his proposing the now famous model of ego, superego, and id. Freud distinguished between the manifest content of dreams, what we actually dream, and the latent content of dreams, which is the unfulfilled wish that the dream represents. Do you have a muse? Is this muse a person or a thing, idea, song, or something else entirely? Do you dream of your ideas before you implement? Do you sometimes start a project only to find you've done something completely different than your original idea? Does your creative process keep you awake at night? Do you find comfort in creating? Does your art overwhelm you at times, or all of the time? As you are working on your project, do you feel the presence of God or something else as you work? Have you ever heard a voice who speaks to you as you create? If you have heard a voice, is this good or bad? The idea behind haunted artists is not anything necessarily paranormal, although that would be a bonus. Tell us about it. We'd really like to know. Be a part of art history. It's all about if you are haunted by your creative ideas. It's got nothing to do with ghosts and spirits. Unless, of course, you have experienced that. We want to know. Some well-known, possibly haunted and tortured artists would be people like Jimi Hendrix, Beethoven, Hunter S. Thompson, Keith Ledger, probably every chef on a reality show. And you have to wonder, did their actions come about because of what we call the muse? Or conversely, were they acting out because of the muse? Artists are well known to be abusers of alcohol, drugs, and other enhancements. And you gotta wonder, are they taking these drugs really to enhance their creativity or to quell? I've always had a muse, although I can't really define it. This project really got started because I was filming an oil painting that I was doing about a year ago, and the camera was rolling, and in the middle of it, without even thinking, I put that painting down, picked up another canvas, and just began the underpainting for a new painting that just came out of nowhere. Now, the amazing thing is that when I reviewed the tape, I saw a shadow on my hand, and I thought, where'd that come from? Because I did have correct lighting. I had lighting coming from several angles. There should not have been a shadow of my hand. And the reason I noticed it is because it was really dark. And I also noticed that no matter where I put my hand, because I had a light coming over the canvas, even if I held my hand like this, so the light was coming straight down on it, there was still a shadow. So this got me wondering and thinking about automatic painting, the muse, Freud's interpretation of dreams and its paranormal elements, how Salvador Dali would put himself into a state of suspended animation in order to create. I wondered if other people have experienced the same thing. Since I am the founder of Delmarva Paranormal and have been associated with and have had many successful paranormal investigations in the past, I wondered, could there be some kind of extrinsic, outside influence that affects creative people? And even if you're a happy artist and you say that you don't have the tortured artist feeling, yeah, you do. Because that idea pops into your head and you can't let it go. That's what I mean by haunted. Now, if you do think that you have some kind of paranormal elements to your creativity, that would be very cool to hear about that. But it's not essential. I personally think that it's 50-50. Intrinsic, meaning me, what I was born with, and extrinsic, what affects me from the outside. I've been drawing my own outside influences since I was 13 years old and realized what was going on. I haven't really been documenting it, I just did it because they were there. It's what I saw or felt. I'm going to interview myself so you can understand that you will have complete and total freedom and how you want to answer the questions. I'm only asking that you answer the ones that you feel comfortable with or that you want to answer. Do you have a muse? Yes, I have a muse, but it is undefined. Do you dream of your ideas before you implement? Sometimes they just come into my head. Sometimes they come at the most inopportune moments. Do you sometimes start a project only to find out you've done something completely different than your original idea? I start things all the time and end up doing something else. I don't know what happens. In the middle of one painting, I can start another and not know where it came from or why it's there. But it's a good idea to get it down. Does your creative process keep you awake at night? My creative process can keep me awake at night. It haunts me until I get up and do it. Do you find comfort in creating? I do not always find comfort in creating. Sometimes it's painful. It's the way it goes, it's the way I look at it. As you are working on your project, do you feel the presence of God or something else as you work? I have felt the presence of something as I create, and I've recorded it on my camera speaking to me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my muse. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's evil. Have you ever heard a voice who directs you as you create? Is this voice inside your head or outside your head? If you have heard a voice, is this good or bad? I have heard a voice. Usually it's there to interrupt me or somehow disturb my creative process. Okay.